Hello everyone, welcome to this Getting the Most from JP Morgan Week 2019, a guide for UK attendees. I'm Steve Bates and I'll be starting the webinar in 1 minute. So hello everybody, this is Steve Bates of the BIA with Getting the Most from JP Morgan Week 2019, a guide for UK attendees. What I hope I can do for you from this webinar is in under half an hour give you an outline of what's happening at the 2019 event, highlighting what might be most of use for UK travellers and companies, give you some background on some materials about the UK which may be useful when you're talking to colleagues globally. And hopefully this will save you time as you prep one of the busiest weeks of the year, especially if you're doing this over the Christmas and New Year break. So if you've never been before, I think the key thing to remember about JP Morgan Week in San Francisco is it's in fact several conferences in one city at one time. The JP Morgan conference is the headliner at the St. Weston on the Monday to Thursday, but there's also a significant conference called Biotech Showcase, which is Monday to Wednesday at the Hilton San Francisco. And that has now spawned two sub-conferences, one called China Showcase and one called Digital Medical and MedTech Showcase, which are at another hotel, Park 55, which is across the road, and I'll explain the geography later. There's also a conference over the weekend ahead of the JP Morgan conference called the East-West CEO Conference that some people attend, and RACI, the Redefining Early Stage Investments Conference, is something that people have mentioned to me. They wanted a bit more info on. It's run by Life Science Nation, who teamed up with a group called Venture Valuation, and that's also on the Wednesday of the conference week. Much of the action, if you've never been before, takes place in hotel suites where venture capitalists and other players take a seat of rooms and seek to arrange one-to-one meetings. Many of you may be involved in those already and have your agendas filled up with those. They are very much invite only and one-to-one events, but you often bump into people in downtown San Francisco related to our sector, and it's very busy and convivial, and there's a heavy networking and reception scheme in the first week of January with fairly open access to many of the events, which can also provide good access to meet more people. If you've not been before, because JP Morgan isn't the only conference on that week, I wouldn't say having a ticket to JP Morgan is vital for a successful week. In fact, many people never go into the JP Morgan conference and have one of their best weeks of the year. But planning your time in advance is crucial, and it will be very difficult to get many meetings on spec if you don't have things set up well in advance. And probably this week is the crucial week, the week before Christmas, although some people will be finalising their schedule between Christmas and the conference itself. The social events can be important for maximising your networking opportunity, and I know it's expensive. UK travellers, I think particularly with the pound where it is at the moment, will find San Francisco that week particularly expensive on top of the flight to the West Coast. Having a phone charger is really important, as is business cards. And colleagues have reflected on me that San Francisco can be not the most hospitable of towns, particularly at night. If you have colleagues who are on their own or not used to, there is a major homelessness problem in San Francisco. Much of Western America's states' solution to some of their mental health challenges seems to be to give people a one-way ticket to San Francisco, and unfortunately that does mean that there are some sometimes some aggressive begging in particularly the less salubrious parts of town, where if you're a biotech who's forced to go to a very cheap hotel, you may find it, be ready for it as you go. So a little bit on Biotech Showcase. I've mentioned they've got these two additional programs, China Showcase and the DigiMed and MedTech Showcase, around 3,500 attendees compared to about the 8,000 that go to JP Morgan. Lots of company presentations, and there may be presenting opportunities. There's also a partnering system in operation at Biotech Showcase. If you are thinking of going, there is a discount for BIA members through our alliance with BioPartner UK. Look on their website and they can give you a discount for that show. This is the grid of downtown San Francisco, really the center of town around Powell Street Station. You'll see the BART station at the bottom there, with Market Street being the main street at the bottom, going down towards the port and up through the town. You can see that the main hotels where the events are literally within blocks of each other. It's all easy walking distance. JP Morgan is in the western St. Francis. There's the nice square, Union Square, in front of that very nice hotel. Hilton San Francisco hosts Biotech Showcase, and just across the road, literally one crossing interchange away, is Park 55. And I've put up here the Marines Memorial Club, which is also the home for the UK networking event and the RISI event that I mentioned. So all of them very, very close by and easy to walk between. Colleagues from the Department for International Trade were kind enough to share with me their thinking as to what they're up to during the JP Morgan Healthcare Conference. And the one that I hope you'll all be able to attend is the UK networking reception, the Wednesday evening from 7 till 9 at the Marines Memorial Club in the Crystal Ballroom. Brianne is expecting people to contact her on this email. And if you do so, I'm sure you'll be able to join us at that event. She's also arranged some meeting space available. If you've not booked some space, well, you may be able to borrow some space in the Sir Francis Drake Hotel on Powell Street, very nearby to the main downtown hotels. If you're after a room, Brianne's got that available. We're finalising the idea of a cell and gene therapy roundtable. I'll talk more on that later on in the webinar. And if you want some opportunities, or you are looking for San Francisco Bay Area contacts, Ryan McMillan leads the life science delegation in that part of the US, and Ryan may be a useful person to connect with as well. The main one I think that we're all working on with Pennington Manches, DIT and ourselves is this event at the Marines Memorial Club. Do please come along. It's been good in previous years, and will be a great place to close the conference week this year. People often ask me, what do we say about the UK when we go to JPM? What's the UK's message? So I've got a couple of slides here on what I think is useful things for people just to remember. Remember that people in a global conference aren't always bumping into UK companies, or won't have it front and center of mind. So I always remind people that the UK is the world's third global cluster for life sciences, with a fantastic world-renowned research, home to 3 of the top 5 universities for preclinical, clinical and health sciences. That we lead Europe for life science funding, both in 2017 and, as new figures will show very soon, and through 2018. So we're both excellent scientifically and attract significant amounts of investment. And we have a pragmatic regulatory regime with a strong reputation. Many people will talk about the strength of the MHRA, particularly in innovative areas. And if I get time, I talk to people about a tax structure that rewards innovation, R&D tax credits, a world-class science base, and a track record of life science excellence. In passing, I may mention the Nobel Prize to Greg Winter this year, which, as the father of humanized monoclonal antibodies, we can see has been very, very important for our industry. And just something on the size and capability of the UK scene. 5,600 life science companies with 250,000 people is a good base from which to build your company. I think this year I'll be talking a little bit about the strengths on cell and gene therapy. If you look at the UK, we are delivering from basic research through scale up and manufacturing to reimbursed usage in the NHS in 2018. I sometimes describe this as the UK being the place where you can do cell and gene therapy in the old-fashioned American saying, from soup to nuts, from beginning to end. And I think that that's proven by the reimbursement by the NHS and nice approval for the CAR T therapies that have been registered, gone through registration study in Europe this year. Genomics is another capability that I think is really important for the UK to highlight. If you look, we're building out from the Sanger and the fantastic biobank cohorts that we've got. Really a capability that's vital for the future of our sector, and something that no other country has all the way through, and particularly with the NHS having longitudinal databases, a real jewel in our crown. And those of you who know me well will know my speech around if you look at what the UK has, we have in the Francis Crick Institute, the world's one of the world's leading capabilities for understanding the biology of cells and what goes on inside them. And the other side of King's Cross Station, we have Google DeepMind, real capacity in AI, which you also see in other parts around the UK. If you join between the two and reach the middle, it's platform 9 3/4 at King's Cross Station, which is where Harry Potter started the magical journey. And that shows that this scientific capability rests within the cradle of not only a connected city, but also a creative city, which I think also gives us global power and resonance. I think if you're asked on Brexit, I always say that UK biotech is a resilient, entrepreneurial and resourceful ecosystem that's able to withstand the buffets and shocks of many things, including changes to our operating environment. Brexit, I always remind people, is leading to greater UK government investment in science infrastructure. One of the reasons why the UK has doubled down on science is because of Brexit, and we're seeing significant strategic support for the life science sector from the UK government. And if you're talking to somebody who operates in dollars, the value of the pound makes UK assets and services a globally attractive destination. And I think we as a sector are ready for all outcomes in Brexit, whether that be negotiating a big US trade deal in the event of a very hard Brexit, or continued with EU regulatory alignment if there is continued close cooperation with the EU. We are ready to operate in those environments and look forward with confidence to do so. If you get a chance, you might want to mention the Life Science Sector Deal 2 as the most recent government document. It came out earlier this month. Here's a picture of the cover, and you can find it on the gov.uk website. And remind people of what the UK is up to. We're going to sequence 1 million whole genomes over the next 5 years, especially with these 500,000 in the UK Biobank project, which really will be a unique capability for the UK once it's done. Very hard for other organisations to do that, but given the UK's and the NHS's cradle to grave mentality, it's something that can be done here. Also development of a predictive prevention cohort, a first-in-kind world-leading cohort of healthy participants to enable research into signs of disease and development of tools to detect and diagnose diseases earlier. This will be an important building block for personalised medicine and is something that the UK has the capability to do, building on work we've already done in things like digital pathology. And I think, people say, well, is everything stopping because of Brexit? The answer is no. UCB committed to put a major global R&D hub in the UK just this month, and we've seen other investments from GW, Roche, Celgene, IQVIA, and Oxford Biomedica, which is also great. As yet, I've not got the timetable for the presenting companies at JP Morgan, but these are the ones that are BIA members who we expect to see presenting. The presentations are often focused on a forward look of publicly traded companies with regard to earnings and how they see the year. I find them very useful. Most of them are streamed online, so if you don't have access to JP Morgan, you can often pick up the presentation online, and it may be, in fact, easier to watch these online than try and get in the room for some of them, but they can give you a good sense as to where the bigger companies in our sector are looking for the year and what their hopes and aspirations are. a good set of BIA member companies at Biotech Showcase. Again, I'm not sure that this is a final list, but as we look mid-December, these are some of the companies that I believe are out and about, making the case, seeking investment or partnerships at the Biotech Showcase this year. A couple of new things in terms of the structure that might be useful for either people returning to JP Morgan Week or who've not been before. BIO, the trade association out of the States, are this year are making their one-on-one partnering app available to people who are in JP Morgan Week this year. It's event independent. It's based on an app. As you can see, I've put it up here. So if you search for one-on-one partnering on the App Store or on Google Play, you'll find it, and it enables you to operate a partnering system. It's the same system they use for the major bio conference, so it's pre-populated with a number of people who would be used to meeting at bio. So this may save time and give you continued meeting history. If you've met someone at bio the conference, you could then use this for future use. And at JP Morgan Week, it's not linked to any of the conferences. Bio have also got a room in one of the local hotels that you can rent by the hour, and if you want to, they can build a meeting space for you as well as enable you to connect. So this might be something that's useful, not something we've promoted before, and if you do use it, I'd welcome feedback from BIA members, but might be useful to have on your phone. Another useful time saver I've found is McDougall Communication, a US-based communications agency focused on our sector, do both a guide on their website at this web address, and they also have done an app this year, the JP Morgan Guide 2019. And I've circled here, you can see that on their website they do a list of the JPM receptions. I checked on it today, but as I did the webinar on the 17th of December, wasn't yet populated, but promising to be populated by mid-December. Might be worth checking back, and might be a fast way of picking out which are the ones you want to go to, and working out who you want to reach out to connect with. So this might also save you time before you go. If you don't get to that, there was a webinar by Bio, and I've put the long web link up here, but I think if you search on the Bio website, you'll find JPM Webinar 2019. They did this last week. They went through 150 pages of various receptions. You can see I've put up here the one from RSA Group, BIA members RSA Group. I've put up here the one from the Aussies on Monday evening, which might be useful for people to pop to, and I've certainly put our one, as I say, Wednesday evening, 7 to 9 at the Marines Memorial Club. They had a very long list of all of the receptions. If you are keen to trawl through that, that is available on that link. If you register, you'll be able to download that webinar and see in full Technicolor 150 receptions that are on during the JP Morgan week. Social media is a great way to follow the action at JP Morgan. Hashtag JPM19 is useful. Hashtag BTS19 is the one for Biotech Showcase, and hashtag East-West CEO, one for East-West CEO Conference. If you have those three lined up, you'll probably make sure that you won't miss any of the moving news that excuse me, may well happen during the week. Often one or two of the big companies look to do announcements as they arrive on the Monday, so it's always useful. And this is as it's a conference, is impossible to cover everything. Might be a good way of making sure that your conversation as you go to the 150 receptions is up to date with the latest news for the sector. And the BIA obviously keeps an eye on this, and we'll retweet things that we think are of use and import on UK time from the week, as well as from the US directly. If you've not been before, if you're going into San Francisco Airport, the BART train works fairly effectively to get into town, and can be cheaper than going on a taxi all the way in on rush hour. Flipkart works very well, very similar to what you'd see in other European countries, and goes straight into downtown, very useful. I know some people are flying this year into Oakland, and that too is linked via this network to downtown San Francisco. I'm going to close there with a reminder that the UK networking event this year is on the Wednesday evening, 7 till 9 at the Marines Memorial Club. Here is the detail. Do please register to register to attend before the 3rd of January. ryan.mcmillan@mobile.trade.gov.uk. I hope to see you there. We'll be with Pennington Manches and Department for International Trade. I will remind you of some dates for your diary, and with that, see if anybody is interested in asking me questions directly. Do please type in an event. Someone asked, is the BIA event invite only, or can we just turn up? Do please register to attend. I wouldn't want you to be turned away at the door. If you register, your name will be down. It can get popular. I'm going to keep it open until the room is full, but to avoid disappointment, please register, and that will ensure that you get in. I see no other questions at this stage, but if you do have any questions, you can email us or get in contact with us on the week. If I can mark your diary for next year, the BIA Gala Dinner is on the Thursday, January the 24th at the brewery. It's a fantastic evening where you'll be able to bring all your new conversation and insight from JP Morgan to the UK community. Do please come and join us there. Our committee summit is on Valentine's Day. It will be in London, and you may wish to mark some of these other dates, particularly the date of the CEO Investor Forum in your diary, 24th and 25th of June this year. With that, I'm going to say thank you. I hope you are enjoying a positive festive season, and that's sped up your process for getting ready for JP Morgan Week 2019. I look forward to seeing you there and at the UK networking reception. Many thanks.